RETROSAURUS with Oli and Kev.
Ho, 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 and I'm not talking about sluts. Welcome to RETROSAURUS with
Oli
and me, Kev. RETROSAURUS is the show that talks about what is pop culture and what is flop culture, based on loads of random nonsense from our childhoods and teenage years. In today's episode, we bring you tidings of death because we're talking about the 1984 slasher film, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Isn't that so, Ollie?
Yeah, well, when you opened it up and said ho, 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 I wasn't sure whether you were talking about me or this for a second, but, it's nice that you're not, attacking me from the off. So I feel good about that. The same can't be said about the victims in this film, who are definitely attacked from the off, aren't they?
Yeah, quick lowdown on the plot, right? The story is about a young guy called Billy who suffers from some sort of traumatic stress after witnessing his parents' murder on Christmas Eve by a man disguised as Santa Claus, and then we see him, grow up in a Catholic orphanage where punishment is the sort of dish of the day.
Punish.
So he grows up and has some sort of psychological breakdown, and then ends up dressed as Santa, which is absolutely the opposite of what he should be doing.
Forced upon him, as
we'll discover later in the toy store, and goes on a killing spree.
Yes.
Goes absolutely rampant. And you know what I like to say, Ollie, here is that nothing says Christmas more than a young child who's just witnessed his parents get brutally murdered by Santa Claus during the holiday season.
Yeah, it's very cheery, isn't it? It's very festive.
The plot is definitely better than Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to say about the cast of the film or any of the main characters.
The only thing I want to say is I have no idea who any of this fucking cast is. I don't know what they've been in since or after. The guy in the toy store, the manager, I recognize him.
Yeah.
I think he's the only one that's been in lots of different things, but otherwise, got a big fat zero on all of them. I reckon they all either did sequels to this or were in soft porn. Good
Lord. This would be so much better if it was a soft porn film. Well, you're right. The film's cast mainly consisted of local actors in the state of Utah, as it happens. The lead character, Billy, or Little Billy, was in fact living in Salt Lake City and, surprise, surprise, had no acting experience whatsoever. And no major or well-known actors were featured in the film. No shit.
I mean, Utah... it's obviously a very small pond for acting. I think it might even be like a rain pool that they're looking in for this talent. So they're going home. They decide to stop off to see the dad's father, so Billy's grandpa, in a mental institution.
This is the best part in the film, in my opinion.
How would you feel about it? Obviously, you have a relative who's in a mental institution, clearly got problems. He's kind of seems to be in a state of comatose. Would you say he's like frozen? He's frozen in the seats.
He's in a catatonic state.
Thank you. That's the terminology. Catatonic state. I don't know what I was saying. But so they decided to speak to the doctor.
But it was all of those things, Ollie. He was in all of those states all at once. This guy.
But they decide to leave Billy, who's like what? 4 or 5. I'm not very good at determining children's ages. Alone with their mentally impaired grandpa while they go and talk to the doctor. For what purpose? Did they just leave him alone? It seemed a bit insane. To be doing that.
Well, first of all, I'd be like, well, first of all, they drove there from wherever they were before, and I'm like, and can you imagine this? In these horror movies,
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, you always in these horror movies, you always have this like nuclear family that are everything's great, and they're on their way to some sinister location, right? And I was just sort of thinking while they were driving there, like, where are they going? And what are they going to do on Christmas Eve? And then there's like then the next shot is the Utah mental facility, and you're like, oh, where are we going for Christmas this year, Dad? Oh, we're going off to the Utah mental facility. Woohoo! Yeah.
Oh, Christmas. I mean, it was very strange. It was a very strange sequence.
Oh,
he decided to freak out his grandchild for no apparent reason than his own entertainment by the looks of it.
Well, and what's weird about this whole sequence, right, is, and we'll get into it in a second. What's weird about this sequence is Grandad is only in this sequence, and then you never see him for the rest of the film.
That's true.
And he's the best thing. He's the scariest thing in it.
Yeah, definitely. And it has no connection with anything else. It has no connection with the scary Santa, and yet he's making up this stuff about Santa being, will punish you if you're bad.
None of this is connected to anything.
Nothing
is even connected to this planet.
Nothing is.
Billy goes, Dad, why doesn't he say something? And the mother says, he can't hear us. In fact, he doesn't even know we're here. And Billy, thank God Billy's here to,
tell the truth.
Says,
why did we come
here?
It's a great point. Why the fuck did we come here? Why do we all drive here as a family for no reason?
Exactly, with the spooky music, which we'll get into. And I'm like, absolutely. Billy's right. And if he can't hear you or he doesn't know you're there, why bother? Just leave the old buzzard in the mental home. That's what I say.
I mean, pick up the phone and find out that before you come.
The other thing is, like, I'm not an experienced actor or anything, right? But there is a thing in acting, I know, that you can be acting even if you're doing nothing, right? So imagine you're playing a catatonic, rather.
Yes.
Okay, imagine you're doing that. It should be convincing, right? Like, we should really believe that you are in that state. Would you agree?
I would agree, yes.
Right. Well, why is it that I got the whole time that Grandad was sitting there was that even acting, doing nothing, I had this feeling that he could just spring out of the chair at any minute and strangle someone. Or is it just me?
No, I get that. It seemed like he was ready for action. I think he was ready for his monologue. His one monologue in the film. His one and last minute moment of fame, isn't he? So that's what it is.
Wow, that's some monologue also. Well, let's see what we've got here. First of all, I've got Grandad wakes up because the parents fuck off into the next room, don't they? And then he sort of wakes up with this sort of pedo expression on his face and grabs the kid's arm. Like, it's really weird how he wakes up. And then goes, shh, what do you want her for? She can't help you. Nobody can. And he goes, you're scared, ain't you? By the way, there's a few grammatical things that I need to haul him up about, but we'll get to that.
It's Utah. Okay.
Yeah, you're scared, ain't you? You should be. Christmas Eve is the scariest damn night of the year. Very husky, wheezy old man voice, by the way. You know all about Santa Claus. He brings presents for all the good boys and girls. And then I noticed he starts to break down into a psychopathic, it's not a rage, it's more like utter insanity is how I would describe it. Santa only brings presents to those who've been good all year and not to the ones that have been naughty. And then he goes, what about you, boy? Have you been good all year? If you see Santa Claus tonight, you better run, boy. You better run for your life. Laughs and wheezes like a chain smoker.
Yeah.
Then returns immediately to his catatonic state.
He might have had issues, but he's almost like getting the premonition of what was going to happen.
Well, he was a soothsayer. If this were Julius Caesar, he would have been shouting, beware the Ides of March.
Indeed. And the Ides of March would have been Santa. Brutus would have been dressed as Santa.
Notice I used a hypothetical tense here, which is if this had been.
Yes.
Or if Julius this were.
Shakespeare.
But it is not.
No, it is not.
No, sadly, no.
No. Sadly not.
No, but I really enjoyed that bit in the film, I must say. So there's more driving, but this time I think in the dark or
definitely on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yeah. And obviously the boy, after meeting granddad and stuff, is totally traumatized, right?
Mm.
And then he says, Grandpa said Santa Claus was going to punish me. And she says, Grandpa's nothing but a crazy old fool. And Billy says, but it's naughty to say bad things about old people.
Yeah.
It's naughty
Isn't
to
that
say,
sweet?
naughty to say bad things about old people. But if you can't, if they can't hear you or they don't know where you are, you know what I say? Go for it.
Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them. Yeah. Yeah. And then we get into the awful music, which the you know how John Carpenter wrote the score for wrote the score. Did he write the score? I think he just banged it out on his Casio keyboard. But no offense meant, but
no,
they've tried to do a bit of a John Carpenter with this movie, right?
Yeah, I would say so, and they failed.
And there isn't so much a score as how could I describe it? It's a bit like an egg timer and a fire alarm going off in sync.
It did seem like they were using like some kind of Christmas carols and then subverting them to be really horrific and evil, but it just didn't work at all. None
of it went together. I don't think it was like it was like the soundtrack from the Terminator in one bit, and then somebody banging their head relentlessly off an organ with the setting on church or something, while throwing spanners around.
Yeah.
And then it would go into some soft melody and carols, as you said.
Yeah.
And there was no coherence whatsoever. I mean, I'm not an expert, but there was nothing musical here.
So the film opens up with a lovely Christmassy scene. The car is driving away from the mental hospital, as you do on Christmas Eve. And it's comes across a broken down Santa, doesn't it? A bit of an AA situation. Struggling.
I know. You'd think they would have just driven around that. Surely.
Yeah, but you want to help someone. It's like, oh, we're going to help a Santa, and
Oh, do you mean it's like it's Christmas?
It's Christmas. It's Christmas. But the kid is very intuitive, though, isn't he? I mean, he's like, fuck that. Don't fucking stop for that Santa.
Yeah, exactly. No one listens to children.
No one does.
They should. They should. Adults are essentially quite stupid for the majority of the time.
They are.
Not all of them, but
yeah.
Often they come up with some of the best things I've ever heard. So simple. So simple, but effective. Like, don't go near this killer Santa, which I think was the general message, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the moral. So the next scene, we go 3 years forward, 1974, to St. Mary's Orphanage. So I think we're clear as to what's happened here. The kids are not with the crazy grandpa or any other extended family. All the other extended family have gone, sod this, we're not looking after these two fuckers, especially that ugly baby. So we'll just shove them in an orphanage and hope for the best.
Yeah.
A Catholic orphanage.
So there's also talk of punishment and stuff. And the good nun, she's like, oh, he's got violence inside of him.
We need to treat this. We need to. Well, she's trying to suggest another way forward. You would think that this child potentially needs counselling, considering what he's been through. But there seems to be no. Oh no, don't worry. Mother Superior knows best.
They don't give a shit.
She'll beat the fuck out of him to get it out of him.
That's it. They probably don't have the funds. They probably they've just resorted to violence through desperation. Yeah.
The reason why he gets punished twice is he's wandering around the halls, hears some strange sounds,
and it does sound like shagging.
Who are these two? We don't even know who these two are. We never see them again.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, is she a nun and is he a priest?
Well, it must be, because why else are they in an
orphanage? They could be the help.
They could be, but they've decided to have a quick bunk up while the kids are playing outside.
Room.
So he looks through the keyhole, and it's very different from, remember that TV program, Through the Keyhole? Who lives in a house like this?
Grossman.
Yeah.
But there's a bit where Santa, just soon after that, Another Santa Claus turns up. Another fucking Santa Claus. Apparently a good one.
But wait a minute, I think you're missing out a crucial point just before
what
that.
have I missed?
think it's
Yeah.
important. He has nightmares about, the trauma, and he runs out, and they decide the best way to sort that out is by tying him
Him to the bed. Yeah.
and then someone, I think his Mother Superior, says, "This is my methods. They always work."
Oh yeah, such humane methods she has. It's like, well, I reckon they just stole from loads of things. Like they thought, oh well, let's have a bit of The Exorcist.
Yeah,
here.
that was very Exorcist, wasn't it? Yeah,
John Carpenter style, music, etc. It's just a mishmash of everything that's come before, really.
Definitely. But then, as you say, the other fucking Santa Claus comes along to the orphanage. I'm guessing it's one of the priests, because we have that later on, don't we? So it must be one of the priests dressed up as Santa.
Well, they did have a child sat on his lap.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go.
So Billy gets put on Santa's lap, and the first thing that Billy does is punch Santa square in the face.
What a punch.
And giving him a bloody nose. He goes flying.
I mean, he's about, 8, 9? And he smashes this old guy out the ring onto the floor.
Are you
count?
Well, like, are you saying, like, if he was your child, you'd be, like, really proud of him? Because that's what it sounds like.
It's a great punch. He could almost be a boxer. I mean, who's punching out Santa at that age? I mean, that is impressive.
Yeah. Right. So the toy shop, Ira's toy shop.
Ira's toy shop, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Who turns out to be the name of one of the producers or something.
Yes, I spotted that as well. Right. I spotted that as well. Unfortunately, in the UK, you wouldn't have that name at the time, because otherwise people would probably say IRA Toys, which has a very different connotation at that period of time.
Yeah.
People are not saying IRA Toys. They're saying IRA Toys.
I have a bit of a gripe with this shop. Right. So this shop is horrible. It looks like a food bank or a cash and carry. Right. It's so bad. The merchandising is so bad.
The good nun knows that he has issues with Christmas.
Yeah.
It's coming up to Christmas.
Yeah.
And the one job she finds in the whole of the fucking town is in a toy shop.
Billy, unfortunately, has to get dressed up as Santa Claus to entertain the children.
Later on, definitely later on, which is
right.
Yeah.
But beforehand, the boss is going like, be jolly, lots of ho, 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 and try not to scare the little bastards. I was just thinking at this point, you know how we're talking about the plot of the film and stuff. There's always unexpected moments of musical interlude. And at this point, there's creepy music, which seems to have been played yet again by John Carpenter, using what I would only describe as an industrial clonking machine and synthesizers played by inmates of a high security correctional facility for the criminally insane. Yeah,
definitely.
Hooked up to a microwave that's been
Yeah.
set on fire. Cut to a suburban home. Okay. And here's the scene. There's like a young girl, the two teenagers. I think the guy's got his shirt off. I don't remember about the girl.
No.
Can't have been paying attention that much. And they're sort of getting it on the pool table. But of course they're babysitting. So there's a child comes down the stairs to find out, I don't know when Santa's coming or something like that.
That's right. Yes, right.
Just to set the scene for you, the house is totally wood paneled, as if we were in like a set of Boogie Nights or some, 70s porn film.
Yeah.
If they managed to get any more clothing off, it might have been considered in some way soft porn. So she goes to answer the door because she hears a noise or something like sleigh bells. She can hear sleigh bells. Obviously, because, we've got a maniac on the loose and it is Santa. So naturally, And so she goes down to the door and she's got these hot pants on that reveal her lower buttocks, obviously. And she's got no top on, right? And it's winter and it's snowing outside and it's cold. And she's walking around like that, just in hot pants and answering the door with her bare breasts hanging out, right?
To be hard nipples.
And then there's this brilliant bit that happened. Well, first of all, it's fucking stupid, right? But there's this brilliant bit where he arrives, Santa, the crazy killer, arrives, does a shining, like, here's Johnny, and cuts down chops into the door, which he does really easily, and then it just breaks down the entire door really easily because it's like made of balsa wood. But it's brilliant because it's so cheap and nasty. I was like, this film is getting better. And and then there's this absolutely brilliant axe throw across the room at the wooden paneling, right next to the bare-breasted woman. By the way, they should have had their own double-act circus show, these two. You know, like with the guy that throws the knives at the women and stuff.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that is a fucking brilliant axe throw. I thought if I was the killer Santa, I would so want to be doing that.
You say that, but I mean, he did miss her.
Yeah, but that's not the point. I mean, she looked terrified.
She did.
I mean, we don't want to kill them just yet. I mean, because she dies in a spectacular way later on.
She does. Does he also chanting a particular saying, like again and again? Punish, punish, punish.
Here's a point. Why are children so scary that they have to put them in horror films?
Innocence of childhood. That's why, isn't it?
But why? What's so scary about that?
I think kids are scary.
I don't know.
Stay away from them.
Is it not just like because the person that you least expect to kill their whole family or whatever as a child?
Maybe that's to do with it. It's hard to say. Maybe they're just creepy. Like Exorcist woman, she's creepy, isn't she, with the creepy voice?
Yeah, and there was like
not her voice. Obviously.
There was like Damien in The Omen.
Yeah.
You know, like the end of The Omen where he looks at the camera and smiles, just like fucking hell, that's really frightening.
It's just innocent mixed up with evil. That's
it. That's it. You hear stories about, you know, some in America or whatever, where some kid just murdered his entire family, and you're like, nobody sees that coming.
No,
unless your child is like scribbling on the wall, like satanic symbols and stuff on your kitchen wall.
Punish. Yeah.
Yeah. Writing punish on your forehead as you sleep.
Yeah, it's just a giveaway with a knife.
It's a giveaway.
So let's talk about her death. So obviously there's been some hunting in that house. Is that a big moose on the wall, or is it a reindeer? I don't know how much they're killing reindeers there.
No, it's a stag's head.
Oh, stag's head. That's it. Stag's head. And he lifts her up. And then basically plants her stomach through the horns, or her body. Pretty
really good kill scene, by the way. I thought. Oh, by the way, but just before that happened, there was this really odd sequence where Santa was grabbing her because she was all sort of bare-breasted and all jiggly, and they spent like a good 5 minutes just writhing around and like, and she's like, like that, you know. But what's really funny is the boyfriend is downstairs in the basement, and because he had music on slightly loudly, he didn't hear any of that commotion at all. And
none of the screaming, none of the killing.
Exactly. When I say commotion, I mean it sounded like someone played the Evil Dead film like on full volume.
Yeah.
While running around smashing pots and pans together and wailing like a witch.
Yeah. And all this started is because she was worried about the cat.
That's why she answered the door. Right?
Don't ever have a cat. Don't ever have a cat. That's my word of advice.
I don't think I even saw a cat.
No, there was something, but it was a passing thing. It was a passing thing.
Got it. But then he turns up and you know, the boyfriend comes into the room where she's just been impaled on the antlers and goes, "If this is some kind of joke, I'm gonna kill you." And everyone's like, Too late. You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But then they have a fight, and I think what's brilliant about that is, you know, you get that a lot in horror films where suddenly, well, it depends. It depends on the victim. Like, there are different kinds of victims. There's like victims that go totally to pieces.
Yeah.
Immediately, can't do anything, just run around screaming before they get impaled on something or fall over into leaves, you know, and get their fucking head cut off and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you have those people. And then you have the fighter who suddenly springs into action, which is exactly what this guy does. Like, doesn't even wince when he sees her.
True.
Because, well, he can't, because Santa's already, what's he doing? He's running at him with an axe.
Yeah.
Immediately springs into action, like, you know, like nothing's going on. I think he gets a poker from the fire or something like that. Shows no emotion, no shock, no signs of trauma, nothing, and takes him on.
Yeah, gives it a go. Gives it a go.
Kicks Santa in the balls, however.
Mm.
And then, curiously, Santa rips his shirt off, not his own shirt, the guy's shirt, and throws him out of a window. And then you see the young guy, the teenager, lying on the grass outside the window, exactly the same as the end of Halloween.
Oh, okay. Is it? Is it a rip-off?
The same, identical. Well, it's not a rip-off because it's not the murderer who's lying there on the ground. It's this guy, but it's the same. There's so many things, you know, that rhyme between all. Well, actually, rhyme is like, no, I'm not even going to credit it with that. I think it's just like copied.
Can we have a big shout out as well to the decor of the pool table room, which you mentioned, which looked like a bad 70s scene, but there's a lovely tiger painting on the wall. You don't get many tasteful tiger paintings anymore, and I think it's a shame.
Can I just say the music is starting to get on my fucking nerves at this point?
Yeah, it was pretty annoying.
I'm sure dogs can't even hear this soundtrack. You know how dogs have like this extra sensory hearing and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't think dogs can even hear it. I think they refuse to hear it.
Yeah. Definitely.
And the same goes for mice and serpents.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Even at a subatomic level, they don't want to hear this.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard going, this film.
It's really hard going.
You know, have you suffered any brain damage as a result, or no?
Yeah, I do feel less intelligent.
Yeah.
After an hour and a half of this.
Do you know, the person who made this music just slammed their head on the keyboard and repeatedly banged their head on it like in a mad rage, and put it on, you know, like that church organ setting. You know how you used to get those old keyboards like in the 80s that had all the different settings? Did you have one of those?
Oh,
right.
Of course.
Right. Well, I reckon, in my opinion, calypso or harpsichord would have been much more soothing to the ears than this music.
I think that the person that came up with this was potentially Helen Keller. There's only someone with, you know, blind, deaf, you know, unable to communicate, potentially could make such so many bad choices. So
there's this part with sledging youths.
Yes, there is indeed. So two guys sledding at night, slightly odd. I wasn't sure whether they were up for a bit of cottaging, but it looks like they're just going for a bit of sledding, as you do. Seemed a bit old for a bit of a let's slide down a hill.
Yeah, but have you seen the place that they live? There's nothing to do there.
Boring as fuck. That's a good point.
There's nothing to, I come from a place like that where there was nothing to do and you have to make your own fun. And I probably did sledge at night.
So hence the reason why there are two bullies hiding behind a tree, because again, rather than being in the pub or something, they decided to hang out waiting for someone to slide down the ring so they could steal their sled and bully them.
Surely this is like the climax of the whole movie.
And no one's climaxing.
But I think it must be the pinnacle of this movie.
You think so?
Well, there's this guy sledging down the hill, then fucking the Santa again comes out and chops his head right off.
Yeah, true.
And then the head follows. I don't quite get how it worked. I mean, they must have chopped his head off and the sledge is still coming down the hill. And the head must have gone uphill and then come downhill again. Well, it's what goes up must come down, I suppose.
Indeed.
I thought that was very, very amusing.
Yeah.
Or is that just, am I just warped? So we meet the detective at the courthouse. And, oh God, you know what? You know what's brilliant about the courthouse? And it's just, you know that you're in the 70s because you can hear 70s typing and and 70s telephone ringing, like in Kojak, because they all have it, typing and telephone ringing. The good nun is there.
The good nun.
Surprise, she's been sleeping
Good
there.
nun.
Been sleeping around. She's been sleeping around. And then there's this conversation between the detective and the nun. She's like, and fuck knows, somebody, you know, the detective or somebody said that the kid is nuts or something like that. And the good nun says,
good nun.
the kid may be nuts, but he's not stupid. And the detective says, no, he's not stupid. In fact, everything he's done has a kind of logic to it. And you're like, what?
No, it doesn't. What logic? How's there a logic to taking someone's head off a sled? So they figure out that in terms of this logic, I'm using quotation marks here with my fingers, that he is going after the Mother Superior, where it all started. So he's going back to the home. Who's going to do that?
The Santa, the evil Santa.
Evil Santa. And you cut back to the also his brother's still there. His younger brother is still there, of course. So we hit back to that. Mother Superior is in a wheelchair. That's never explained. Now that they have a policeman at the going to the orphanage, don't they? Just, you know, they can't get there first. And then a Santa is walking towards.
Yeah, and you just know that it's not the real. It's exactly like in Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Where there's a guy walking around with a fucking William Shatner mask on, and he gets shot and set on fire. Yeah, it's the same thing. You just know it's not going to be that Santa. Also, because it's already happened, right? Or not? We've had, like, how many Santa sightings have we had now? It's like,
yeah, that's true.
Too many.
You need to check it out, really, because he's walking through the playground with all these kids around, and the policeman decides just to shoot him, really, in the back. And Santa doesn't really stop at all, does he? I'm guessing he because he's one of the priests, isn't he? He's obviously had a few, bit of a Father Jack type figure. He's obviously stumbled around, got a bit drunk, walking around in a Santa costume, and then so the policeman kills him, and it's like, come on, children, come inside. And then it's like, you just killed a priest.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that. I like the way he said, I'm sorry about that, but let's close up the orphanage, and but you know. Shit happens, isn't it?
There's a really funny conversation in the car though with the sheriff or whatever and the good nun.
Good nun,
because she's like, well, first of all, she didn't even seem that shocked that anyone had been killed, and which, by the way, she needs acting school big time. I mean, if anyone's listening to this that can give this woman acting lessons, I would recommend it, because if there's going to be a reboot and they want her back in it. I'm not paying money for that.
No.
First of all, couldn't we have Judi Dench? It's a small price to ask, or that woman off Fleabag. What's her name?
Philippa Waller-Bridge.
Someone like that.
She'd make it a lot more sexier.
Just
very different.
Someone accomplished, someone who went to RADA.
Isn't Julie Andrews still alive? She's very good at nuns. Can we also take a moment that Mother Superior, after the children have seen a priest get shot in front of them, tells them all to stop moping around.
So you know, Ollie, that I'm a big fan of the musical score of this film.
Indeed, yeah.
You know,
I think they missed a trick though, didn't you think? Because I mean, if it's a Christmassy film, Danny Elfman would have been a superb person to get in to do the score.
He would,
but there you go. Obviously, he wasn't around at the time.
But that's not the case, because actually the composer, Perry Botkin, was hired to compose the musical score. He improvised most of the score while watching a work print copy of the film on Betamax. Quelle surprise. And afterwards, he'd replay the tape at his work and add more layers and melody to polish it off.
Oh my God.
Melody I did not hear. So this guy, this composer, was supposedly adding melody into this. Could you believe that?
No.
I reckon you could have got more melody into this had you played Come to Daddy by the Aphex Twin backwards, while simultaneously scratching Debbie Gibson's greatest hits, smashing it all up with a hammer, putting it all in a blender, throwing the blender out of the window, jumping out of the window after the blender, lying on the pavement with broken bones, be rescued by ambulance workers, taken to casualty, and put on some sort of respiratory machine, flatline and die, and wake up in hell, and it would have more melody than this.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably right.
I'm so glad you agree. I mean, it would be difficult not to agree with that last statement.
Definitely.
If this film had an all-star cast, who do you think would be in it? Who'd want to be in it first? No, who would be in it? Not who would want to be in it, because nobody wants to be in this.
No one wants to be in this. So if we're recasting all history and all time, who would I have in his spot?
Well, let's start with Billy, the killer Santa. Who would play Billy? Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, that's good. That would work actually.
I was thinking like along the lines of Risky Business.
Okay.
You know, when he does that thing where he dances around in his pants and socks.
True. He's never really been a serial killer, has he? That's the only thing I would say. I mean, that would be, I would open it up for him, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't be good for his image.
It wouldn't be very good for his image.
Anyway.
Oh, actually, I've got another good one, because I mean, he's pretty horrible anyway, so why not make him do this film? Kevin Spacey. I think he always makes an arsehole, because he is. He seems to be one.
Macaulay Culkin.
Or Kieran McCulkin.
But the sort of junky version, not the
what we
Home
thinking?
Alone one.
Macaulay Culkin as Billy and Kieran Culkin as his brother. They're already brothers.
That's brilliant. I don't know anything about his little brother. Did he turn out to be like a drug addict as well?
No, he's a very good actor.
Okay, great. Well, we'll have them. And do you think that they'll cost a lot? The younger brother sounds like it could be a bit costly, and all he's got to really say in the movie is naughty.
True. Yeah, you'd have to convince them. You have to make him an executive producer or something on it to really encourage him.
Such diva behavior, honestly.
We've already discussed Mother Superior as to who that should be.
Who's that?
Well, you said Judi Dench.
I think you need someone a bit more, maybe a bit more evil, maybe more like Glenn Close, maybe.
Close, Emma Thompson, maybe, she'd be quite good at that. Joan Collins,
yeah, but she's good looking. This woman had a face like a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, that's true, but have you seen Joan Collins recently?
Okay, there's no gay people in this film, and I'm getting bored of it already. So we need to have some gayness. Even though there was not really anything gay in the film, really. So let's start with the guy on the pool table.
Oh, you want to make him gay now? That makes a very different film.
Yeah, it would be much, something a bit more up to date. That bloke that's in that film, Call Me By Your Name.
Timothée Chalamet.
Him on a pool table with his shirt off.
I mean, he's straight in real life, but yeah, sure, why not?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, these people will.
You want a twink in this film? Okay.
These people will do anything for money.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, which leaves the victim who wears hot pants that answers the door.
Zoe Saldana.
But it's a guy, right? It's a gay thing.
Oh, was he? Sorry. Okay. Well, yeah, but she can dress up.
Okay. Yeah, and who cares? Millennials don't care anyway. And
all right. Tom Holland. Make it Tom Holland from Spider-Man.
Another question is, what would the toy line have been like if it had been allowed? For children, I mean, like, in Toys R Us and stuff.
Well, it would be Billy, wouldn't it? With various tools. You'd have like an axe, Stanley knife.
The sledge. You could have the sledge and
a decapitating head that comes off.
That would be fucking great.
The cats that comes in and out the house.
Or you could have your own balsa wood door that you can chop down.
Your own pool table and tiger picture as well. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah, that would be
Superior.
That would be a play set.
That would be that. My Mother Superior standing up and also in a wheelchair. That'd be quite nice. She have a belt and stuff like that.
You could have the sex scene where Mother Superior comes in and you can like move her waist and she can whip people.
Whip the belt, yeah.
That would be really good.
And then actually as a talking toy, Billy, if you wind it forward, it's punish.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really good. Some of his really good phrases like that, like "my parents are dead."
Yeah, my parents are dead.
That would be, okay. If this were a gay film, how do you think gays could spice it up?
Well, beyond having Timothy Chalamet and Tom Holland over the pool table, that would definitely spice it up.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah. How else?
Because it
Mariah
doesn't.
Carey.
Mariah Carey would be great.
Yeah,
what would she be doing in this film? Just being a has-been Christmas songstress.
She could be the good nun, and then she could have like a singing thing at the end.
Well, thanks for tuning into Retrosaurus. It's been horrible, festive, and disgusting and brutal all at the same time, hasn't it, Ollie?
It has. I'd rather eat my Brussels sprouts than watch that film again.
Indeed. However, if you are planning to do a Secret Santa this year, why not pop Silent Night, Deadly Night into the mix? There's going to be one lucky colleague that's going to get that present and they're going to love it.
Or they're going to track you down and they're going to smash through your door with an axe going, punish.
And so from Retrosaurus, Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
You better run, boy.
Good night.